Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. In today's video we are going to be going over some improvements that I made to my bioactive enclosure for my hognose snake. Um, I also have a Kenyan sand boa, and this enclosure would actually do well for a Kenyan sand boa as well. So in a future video I'll probably do a more in-depth build of my sand boa's enclosure once I get it out of quarantine. Now, the first thing I did was I upgraded from a 20-gallon long to an Exoterra. The reason why I went with an Exoterra is these fit better on my shelves because I use heating elements and lights above. Having to move all that junk just to get access to my snake and do maintenance is kind of a pain. These here, they have front opening doors, and I just find these really convenient. Also, picking your snake up from the side will stress out a lot less than picking overhead. Now, as far as the soil mixture that I use, this was a 7 to 3 ratio of organic potting soil to play sand. You want to use organic soil so that way it doesn't have any fertilizers or pesticides or anything in it. And you want to use play sand. Don't go to the pet store and get Reptisan or Calcisan, because if the snake ingests that, it can potentially turn to concrete in its stomach and cause an impaction. Play sand, though, generally speaking, will pass through relatively unchanged, so it's significantly safer. If you're worried about sterilizing the soil, you can probably put it on like a cookie pan or something, a baking dish, throw it in the oven for 350 degrees for an hour or two, and that should kill any germs. But I didn't do that. I've never had an issue with any of my snakes, so I just mix it all together, throw it in, and then we're good. I also like to put in some shredded cypress mulch in here. The reason why I do this is it holds humidity in for the cleanup crew, so the springtails, the isopods, mealworms, superworms, any of that stuff that's in here, this setup is going to get fairly dry, and this is to hold humidity in for them. Also, I find the hognose snake tends to enjoy the humidity as well. I haven't had any issues with any bad sheds. Now, as far as decorations, this here is all driftwood. You could probably put some stones in there. I have a cork flat. And for the plants, these are all just succulents I got from Home Depot. They cost anywhere from $2 to $4 a piece. Most of these I've actually left in the pot simply because in the old 20-gallon long setup, I actually planted them. And the snake would routinely dig them up, and their roots were suffering. In all my terrariums, my bioactive terrariums that I have plants in, the ones that I left in pots have been thriving. Now, I know it might seem a little counterintuitive, because how are they supposed to get nutrients from the soil if you just leave them in the pots? But as the soil dries, the roots grow out of the pot into the substrate. And yeah, so there's no issue at all with the plants as far as roots sucking up nutrients. Now, this here's just a couple of jade plants, some aloe plants. I forget what these are, but like I said, they're just cheap succulents. For the water dish, this here's just a ceramic one. It's only been in here about 2 hours, and it's already dirty from the snake slithering in there. I go with ceramic because, again, this setup is going to be fairly dry. The water cools the ceramic down, and any moisture in the soil causes the water vapor to condense on the bottom of this. And so you have a little moist oasis underneath where this water dish is. And a lot of the springtails and isopods like to hang out there. Now, as far as lighting goes, lighting for the plants, I just use an LED grow light I got from Home Depot. I like to keep my plants in the back because for the heating element up front, I find If that gets a little too close to the plant, like for example, I think this aloe plant is a little bit too close under the ceramic heater, it'll dry it out. And if you put a basking platform here, you'll see your snake more as it hangs out in the front of the cage instead of all the way back here by the plants. Um, right now I'm using a ceramic heat emitter for heating. For all my North American colubrids, I'm actually switching over from belly heat to overhead heat as a part of an experiment. Eventually I'm going to switch these all out to basking lights and UV lights on a 8 to 10 hour timer. I haven't figured out what I want to set it up on. But the reason why I'm doing that is I want to mimic the temperature drop that the snakes experience in the wild. I keep my house at around 70 to 73 degrees, so that's not going to hurt them at all at nighttime. And then during the daytime, I figure that temperature change will encourage the snakes to bask. The UV light isn't necessary for keeping colubrids. Um, Many people have raised them without using it. I've just been reading reports that when exposed to UV lights, the UVB, I should say, their colors tend to brighten up and they also tend to be more active. So that's what I'm trying to encourage. But if you don't want to do UVB, that's perfectly fine. And believe it or not, there is a snake in here. Almost every single time, the last time I went, set her up in a bioactive enclosure. I didn't see her for about a month as she got used to the setup. And then after about a month, she started coming out, and then I would see her every single day. So that's probably what I'm expecting to happen now, except I've already seen her out a couple times. So hopefully she won't be as shy as she was in the beginning of the last setup. So this here is a work in progress. I'll keep you updated on any changes that I need. Oh, and for the cleanup crew, this is going to be isopods, springtails, well, dwarf white isopods, springtails, super worms, which will turn into beetles, and then I might throw in some mealworms in there as well. A lot of the driftwood in here, as well as the where the plants are, because I water these once a week, stays humid. So those are other areas where, if you're concerned about the cleanup crew, if you're concerned about being too dry for the cleanup crew, they tend to hang around the root balls of the plants, as well as under the various pieces of driftwood. And also starting out, sometimes I'll get some like lettuce or scraps of vegetables, and I'll hide them under here while I'm waiting for the enclosure to get settled in, just so that way the cleanup crew has something to eat on as well as something to drink from. But I haven't put any cleanup crew in here yet, so I'm waiting to do some more research on which isopods I want to put in here. I'll probably do an actual setup version once I've moved my sand boa from his quarantine tub over to his 10-gallon tank. And again, I'm planning on doing the exact same thing for this that I did for my hognose as I will do for my sand boa, just simply because they're both fossorial species that live in hot climates and they need loose substrate. So yeah, if you found this video educational, be sure to like and subscribe. I do put out content, and I hope to do more regular videos. And if you have any questions, suggestions, or just anything you want to tell me, make sure to drop a comment down below, and I'll respond to you. Have a good day. Bye.